Hey, 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 welcome, happy hikers. Mike R. back here with another one of our interviews. This is probably my favorite thing that I get to do with Happy People Hike is interview outdoor nonprofits, outdoor groups and organizations with a mission and a vision to make the outdoors safer, more accessible, preserving it for future generations. And we have a great example of a group doing this. And I have their founder on today with me, Tracy from the BLK Hiking Club out of Georgia. Tracy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here, be a part of this, and can't wait to just share the story about BLK Hiking Club and what we're doing.
Well, we love what you're up to. So I guess I will turn that directly over to you. Tell us a little bit about the BLK Hiking Club, what your mission is, what your vision is. I already know that from the website, but for those that are tuning in for the first time, tell us a little bit about the organization and all the great work that you're doing.
Yeah, so I started BLK Hiking Club back in 2021. My goal of it was to create a safe space for Black men and women to be able to enjoy nature. It's funny to think that all of this came about based off of a simple conversation at the top of a mountain with somebody a Black woman who didn't feel welcome. And so for me, I wanted to do everything that I could to make sure that we could enjoy nature without worrying about that trauma or that fear that exists as Black people in America, especially when it comes to going outdoors. So it was in that moment. What's funny is a lot of people don't know is that I had the logo for BLK Hiking Club created back in 2020, but I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But it was funny in that moment of saying, hey, I'm going to create this club. It was like divine timing of like, now I can use this. Now I can put it to use. And all I ever really wanted to do, Mike, was get people that look like me outdoors and raise that awareness and show them that this is our space too and that we can enjoy nature just as much as anyone else. Because I see it all the time and like growing up in a smaller city, but a city that many of us, our form of getting outside was maybe going to our local parks. And that was because we were either going to the playground or we were playing football or baseball. But it was never to be like, hey, let me go explore this nature trail. And so to be able to be on the other side of history and changing things and trailblazing for people who look like me, especially the youth, it's been a heck of a feeling, and I'm thankful for that to be in this position to just bring forth change that's needed in this outdoor space.
That's great. And a lot of change is needed there. And what you're doing is remarkable, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you. Yeah, one of my friends, we do a lot of kayak river cleanups in central Ohio, and the money raised from those is to help kids in the city learn to kayak, learn to hike, go into the outdoors. And Mike created that group because he felt as a kid it was assumed that he didn't want to go into these outdoor spaces, that he just wanted to play basketball at the city park was kind of what he felt like. And it was like, no, we just haven't, we need the opportunity and the accessibility to go do that and learn these things.
Yeah, no, we need that. Like that accessibility, that seems to be the focal point right now, just with a lot of outdoor organizations I've talked with. And, it's a lot of kids in the city that aren't aware of the nature trails that even exist where they live. And for me, it's important that we find those organizations, we find those outdoor companies who are willing to maybe meet these kids where they are. And let's start doing some type of outdoor adventures where we bring the outdoors to them and we teach them about camping, hiking, backpacking, and things of that sort.
That's great. Well, I still don't know anything about backpacking, so I'd like to come along. I'll sit there with the kids and learn a few things too. So your guys' vision, per your website, which I love, is, one day all Black hikers in this country will know that they belong in the outdoor space too. beyond that mission and vision, you have had some remarkable growth of community, people that want to be out there together. Can you give us a couple short stories beyond the one you already talked about with the founding of it, with the woman on the mountain? Two short stories that encapsulate the impact that you can have and why you do what you do and why you're continuing to do this, because we're recording this in 2024. You've been doing this for several years now. Tell us some stories about the Black Hiking Club that make you wake up in the morning and want to do more.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can really sum it up like this because it's going to be like the same story over and over, but it's those moments when hikers come up to me and say, thank you for creating this. I've always wanted to get outside, but I didn't know where to start. Or, hey, I used to hike or go for nature walks, but I stopped going after COVID, or, even post Black Lives Matter movement, 2020, 2021. And so for me, just to know that people appreciate this safe space that has been cultivated, that's what makes me keep going. That's what makes me say, hey, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to continue to get people that look like me outdoors. When you have those moments, it just does something to you. And that's what I just always try to emphasize to my leaders is like, hey, y'all, you might not see that impact in the moment, but I promise you, when people come up to me afterwards and they just say, hey, thank you for this, or tell your team we appreciate them, like, it's those moments like that this is why we do what we do. So that's one story. And then I would just say, I think about like the first time hikers who maybe doubted themselves a little bit that they couldn't do it. Like, I think about recently how we've went on some tougher hikes, longer hikes, that it was a lot of people's first time. And, in my mind, I'm like, okay, like, you pick one hell of a hike to come to that this is gonna be your first time doing this, but they do it. And we, live by this motto of, no hiker left behind. And, if you got to take your time, we're going to take our time with you to make sure that you finish and cross that finish line. And, sometimes we finish as a group, and sometimes it is maybe 2 or 3 people that finish maybe 15, 20 minutes later, but we finish together. And so I love those moments because that person did it, and they can go home and they can tell their families, like, hey, I hiked today. I did one of the toughest hikes in Georgia. I was out there for 5-6 hours. Like, I love those moments. And we have plenty of moms and dads, brothers and sisters who come to our hikes, and it's like, hey, what brought you out here today? And they all say, hey, my sister or whoever went hiking with you a couple months ago, and I heard about their experiences, so I wanted to see what it was. And now suddenly it's a family thing. So I love moments like that.
That's great. We were talking about this beforehand as a yoga and fitness teacher. When somebody comes up to me after a class and is like, that is just what I needed, it's hard if you don't do something like that to share how you feel about it, because it is so impactful. Like, what else do we get to do in life where somebody's like, this is just what I needed. This group is just for me. I am so thankful this group happened and came into existence. That's very powerful. And that can be life-changing for people.
Yeah, it is. It's very life-changing. And I know even for me, we've had those hikers that come, they enjoy it, and now suddenly they have their own small hiking club.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, that's what it's about. It's like, hey, maybe we're the foundation, but you learned what you needed to. You hiked with us for as long as you could, but now you're going to start your own to get people who you know outside. And I was like, I'll live with that. I'm okay with that, because now there's more groups popping up, and it's wonderful. And I hope that continues to happen, not just here in Georgia, but for our chapter in North Carolina, and even for those who have chapters across the nation.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk about Georgia for a sec here. Atlanta is an amazing city. It's got great bike trails, city parks. But I think people think of it as, a lot of traffic, a lot of parks, and then all of a sudden all of Georgia becomes Atlanta. I don't think people know that there's some real deal tough hiking and mountains in Georgia. I mean,
Yeah.
big ones. So let's talk. Share one or two of your favorite hikes from the state of Georgia. I mean, I've hiked 80 miles of the Appalachian Trail in the state of Georgia. It's a tough. It is. I mean, Atlanta's awesome, like I said, but it is not. I think for some reason people think Georgia is all flat.
Yeah, it's not. Far from it. Far from it. So for me, what I always try to tell people, I was like, hey, yes, we're in Atlanta, but it's like if you drive an hour 15, hour 20 outside of it, you're in the North Georgia mountains. And for me, like, I think about some of those tough trails that I've enjoyed, like up in Chatsworth, Georgia, Fort Mountain State Park has wonderful trails. Really enjoy it there. And then another one of my favorites is Mount Yona in Cleveland, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I really enjoy that one as well. Like, it's funny. I think a lot of people, because I talked to some of my friends out west, and they're like, I didn't know you guys had mountains. And
Yeah.
it's like, yes, like the AT starts and finishes here depending on which way you go. And I was just like, I wish more people would understand that, because I was like, if you look at the national park like maps, and even just some of the other like geographical maps that exist when it comes to hiking, you can tell in Georgia, like, hey, there's that little bulky part of mountains. But one day people will understand. I think it's just going to continue to take maybe those outdoor influencers to come here and hike some of these trails to understand that, like, don't sleep on Georgia's hiking culture.
I would maybe go so far as to say, as someone who's lived around the country in cities and small towns and in a van and at campgrounds, Georgia probably has maybe the most underrated hiking scene, I think, in the country. We know California is good, and people talk about Colorado. And then, right now I'm currently like living in Iowa, and I'm not dissing Iowa or Kansas, but like there's not as many hiking options. Georgia's got tons of great options. Tons.
It does.
And not a lot of people think of it. I think it's about as underrated as they come in the States.
Yeah, it is. And I would say, like, it's amazing when we do post some of our group hikes and you get those comments. Where is this? And then when you say it's in Georgia, they're like, what? Like, we have this here in Georgia? And I'm just like, hey, you got to get outside of that city. Because there's so many people, I think, that have become accustomed to, hey, I'm going to hang around the perimeter or go hiking within the perimeter, like the Stone Mountains and Kennesaws of the world. But they don't realize, like, I think about one right now, like Asani Mountain, which is in Forsyth County. Hey, drive about 45, 50 minutes north, and here's one that's right outside of the city. Beautiful mountain, and you can even see some of the bigger mountains in North Georgia from it. So it's just raising that awareness. And that's what I continue to talk to other outdoor groups about, is like, we have to bring awareness to the fact that we have all these huge mountains that exist within North Georgia, but people will never know if we don't put it in front of them.
That's great. And you guys have some big groups. Do you know what your biggest number so far has been for a group hike meetup? I mean, some of those photos you sent me, I got to think there's 100 people at some of these, right?
Yeah, so our largest hike was February 10th this year. It was actually our 50th hike of being a club, and we had 161 hikers.
Wow. That's incredible, Tracy. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, we've grown a lot. Like, from that first year of averaging probably around 15 hikers to now being at about 115 to 120. Like, it's amazing, like, to just see it. And we kind of notice it, like, in the earlier part of our season, like, I would say winter going into spring, we'll see those 100 plus. then summertime comes, everybody's not trying to necessarily sweat and be outside all
Yeah.
day. So it might dwindle a little bit depending on the trail. But then we know, like, we're going to be taking a break in August, but we know when we come back in September, it's going to be full tilt. Like, everybody's coming back out because it'll be going into fall, and everybody loves fall and the fall foliage. So we're preparing for that. Like, we got some cool places that we'll be checking out. So I'm excited and looking forward to it. I won't lie, it's been nice over these last few weeks to kind of have a smaller crowd because the 100, it can be a lot.
That's a lot.
It's good. Yeah, it's good just to kind of get back to where it all started and just getting people outside and having a good old time.
That's great. Yeah, when we're living in the more humid areas of the country, I've noticed the trails start to dissipate a little bit from about the summer solstice to Labor Day. It doesn't really matter where you are. I'm the only, like, I'll find myself out there by myself sweating it out, and that's not everyone's idea of a good time, I've noticed. Hey, why don't you tell me, another outdoor-based group, organization, nonprofit outside of you guys that you love following and you think they're doing great work? Because part of this idea is to share some energy of other great organizations in the outdoor space.
Yeah, so one that comes to mind, great friend of mine, I would say like a sister at this point, is my friend Taylor. Her group, Peace in the Wild, they're really making a lot of noise right now in the outdoor space within Georgia as well. I would say we are both tied for having the largest groups in Georgia, yet alone like in the nation with what we do. We like to tell people it's like we got the hiking and Black Hiking Club, and then she focuses on outdoor recreation when it comes to just getting Black people outside and doing things that they maybe never thought of, especially within the aquatic space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really appreciate. Like, one thing she implemented this season was giving out swim lessons. She partnered with a group and they do swim lessons because there are a lot of Black people that don't know how to swim. Part of that, it ties back to history and just some of the systemic racism that did exist of allowing us to go to pools. And so to just see her getting people out of their comfort zones and continuing to make impacts like that and make waves in that space has been beautiful. I know one of my hiking leaders took the class and she was like, it was the best thing she could have done. And so I love seeing that. I love everything that Taylor has done with Peace in the Wild. And to have somebody in this space who gets it, who understands the importance of getting more Black people outside and doing the things that we haven't necessarily done because maybe people tell us Black people don't do that, or because we just haven't felt comfortable enough to try it. I love that. And I'm thankful that I met her in this space because not only is it just like a partnership or just friends in business, it's like we have a real relationship outside of this club, and it's been the best thing that could have happened.
That's great. And swimming can be such a life skill that can be translated into so many other things. Such a powerful idea by her and her group to do that. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, let's talk about you for a sec. Your favorite, I don't really like bucket lists. I feel like that means we're running away from, like, I always feel like that you're running away from the thing that you already do each day, which you hopefully do something you like. But like, if time and money were of no consequence, where is your dream hiking trip? Or it can be a day, it can be a month. Like, what is calling out to you in nature that you would love to do anywhere in the world?
Easily Switzerland. Like,
Switzerland.
I follow so many Switzerland like hiking pages that I was like, if I could go there and live the rest of my life, I would hike my life away, literally. I always joke with my friend Kara about it, but I'm just like, I just want to live off the grid, and hike until I can't hike anymore. And Switzerland would be that place. Give me a little cabin in the valley. Wake up each morning, seeing just the beautiful Swiss Alps. Like, I literally had played that out in my head. Like, internationally, like, no doubt I would go to Switzerland. But if I had to stay within the U.S., my dream place where I would just want to live the rest of my life is Big Sur, California. I had the opportunity to go there last year when I was doing my road trip up the California Highway 1 or Pacific Coast Highway, and it was the best, one of the best places I've been domestically, and I was just like, this is so peaceful, and I was like, I can only imagine what it feels like to live here year-round. So, yeah, those would be like my two places if I had to choose an international place and then somewhere domestic.
I love it. Well, I can't wait. I will come visit you in either one of those. Those are great picks. Thanks for sharing that. Let's close up with how do people get involved? What are the best ways to connect? You don't have a group just limited in Georgia. Now you have a group in North Carolina. What's all going on with the Black Hiking Club? How can people tune in and be involved?
Yeah, so I would just tell folks, follow us on social media like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We have pages, Black Hiking Club, BLK Hiking Club, and they can find us. It's not hard to get involved with the hike. We pretty much host hikes every other weekend. Sometimes, depending on if it's 5 weekends in a month, it could be 3 times. So we just tell people, hey, go to our Instagram page, Facebook, whatever it may be. You'll see that link. If you have any questions or are curious about, like, how do you join or how do you just kind of stay in touch, we also have, like, this platform that we use called Halo. They've been a huge support for us in being able to host our events. And so we just tell people to join that as well if they're looking for announcements or just trying to be able to sign up immediately for a hike. Because I'll share with anybody who is curious, our hikes typically fill up within like 15 minutes. And
oh, wow. Yeah.
And that's with the cap of 200. Like, it's a numbers game for us. But, like, yeah, that's with the cap of 200. Like, people, the moment that hike is posted, instantly within a minute is like 50 people. So it's a heck of a feeling. I love it, but it is one of those things I tell people, if you want to hike with us, you got to be on top of it. It's like those lotteries for like national parks. So, like,
yeah.
Everybody's trying to get their ticket so they can get chosen, but that's how it is for us too. But when they come, like, it's a great time. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna have fun. It's a vibe. And I tell anybody, it's like, come as you are. Like, don't come thinking you got to be something that you're not. Like, just be yourself, because I promise you, it's somebody there that's the same way as you. Somebody who believes in some of the same things, who carries themselves the same way. It's just a great time. And we're going to make the most of our time in nature.
That's great, Tracy. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I can't wait to see the Raleigh-Durham crew this fall out on the trails. If I see the shirts, I'll go up and bug them when I'm out there by myself on a sweaty August day. But I really appreciate the work that you guys are all up to. It's powerful, it's important, it's vital to the future and the present of the outdoors, and just in general what we need to do in this country and around the world for different types of communities that have been marginalized against for centuries. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me today.
All right, happy hikers. All the show notes will be on the links. Connect with Tracy and the crew, and sounds like you better be ready when they post that next hike to get in the queue. Until next time, Mike R. and Tracy signing off. Happy people hike. Talk to you soon.